What is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday, Tuesday. I'm just pulling the feed up on my phone. It is Tuesday. It has been one of those days. Janine, what is up? Happy to have you on. You're awesome. So, it's been a day. I've been studying. I've been writing down some stuff, and it's really cool. I was going through the Knowledge Business Blueprint, this program that I'm learning from that's put on by Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, and Russell Brunson, and just super cool stuff. And I'm going to be writing out my not to-do list, things that I do and spend my time doing that I don't need to be doing. What things that I can either automate, delegate, or eliminate from my plate. Listen to all those eights. That's so cool. What's up, Michael and Janine and Lance and Colleen? Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm so happy that you guys are on. So as you can see from the title, hopefully this one kind of got you a little bit of a happy ooh, right? And I wanted to talk today about Alicia Liesel. What's up, everybody? So I wanted to show you an example of that helps you guys know that I'm not just some guy who's sitting in his office in Saratoga Springs, Utah, who always does this every day and is like super polished and all this kind of stuff. That I wanted to show you that I understand and know what you're feeling and your fears and how awkward you feel and all that stuff as you're getting started, okay? So that is what we're going to talk about today. Colleen had an awesome weekend because even though it's Tuesday, she's feeling it's Monday. I was that way this morning as well. I was sending my Voxer to my Vox group, and I was like, Happy Monday. I was like, Happy day after Memorial Day. That's a sign that you were living life and doing good things, okay? So this is what we're going to talk about today, is how you get better with time and practice. And I'm going to show you an example of me, my first ever Facebook Live, and we'll talk about it, okay? So let's hop right in. Okay, it is Tuesday. We are in the 5th week of this Facebook Live series, teaching you guys and showing you how stories and your stories can be used to sell more of your products and services. We've gone through e-com and real estate and all sorts of stuff, right? And in the next couple of days, I have a couple of other topics. I'm gonna drop some teasers to get you guys right. Today we're going to be talking about how you get better with time and practice. What's up, Val? Oh, this is perfect timing. You're on here. This is hopefully will be useful for you. So later, like tomorrow and Thursday and Friday, I haven't figured out what Friday's message is going to be, but I'm going to talk about in other episodes this week how to use your Facebook profile to attract and get more clients, okay? We're going to do that, and then also we're going to talk about how to use stories to sell books. I had a question, or somebody asked if I could do one on that, so I'm going to do that this week. Also, how we talked about testimonials in a previous episode. Go back and watch that one if you missed it, but it's super cool. But my buddy Lance, earlier today, I saw something in my feed that one of his employees tagged him in a picture on a job site. One of his guys was installing a tankless water heater, and he took a picture of that and said, tankless is the only way to go, tag Lance and stuff. And so I probably build an episode that's going to be geared towards how to use your network, your friends, if you have employees or team members, how to have them get involved in the process of spreading your message around, okay? So that's what's coming up for the rest of the week for you guys. But today, again, I want to focus on how I understand how it feels when you're starting out. I understand that it feels awkward and uncomfortable and boring. You feel boring, all this stuff, especially when you're starting and you don't have an audience that follows, right? You watch and you see, like right now I've got 7 people watching live right now, right? I want to have a 0 or 2 behind that on my lives, watching live. I want to get to that point. I'm not there yet. I'm still on that small number, right? And I've been doing this every day for a couple of years, right? So I know what it feels like when you're starting out, especially when you see one person maybe hop on and then you pop off, but you don't know. You see a notification when they get on, but if they drop off, you don't know. So you're like, is anybody watching? All that kind of stuff. So I know the awkwardness and the things, the conversations we have in our head. Like, is anybody watching? Am I boring? Is my content crap? All this kind of stuff, okay? And I want to, again, show you the contrast of what it's like when you begin versus when you've been doing it for a full year, okay? I'm going to share. We're going to watch it together. It's going to be interesting. My very first Facebook Live, okay? And we'll see. I'll ask you to notice some things, excuse me, that are different in that one versus what you're seeing right now today, okay? And hopefully you can see it as an inspiration and motivation to keep going or to start, because if you don't start, you're not going to improve, right? You're not going to, I'll wait until I feel really comfortable or I'm really polished on my message to go live, and then I'll go and do it. If you have that as your caveat, you're never going to go live. I'm just going to tell you right now. And so I want you to be able to crush and punch those fears and lies that we tell ourselves in the face so you can start having impact and influence in getting your message out there right now, okay? Does that sound cool? Are you cool if that's what we talk about today? Let's see, Val, episode 8 done today of our podcast, live stream video. I will become an expert at storytelling. I'm going to throw that up. Exactly. Val, last week sent me, she recorded her origin story. Like, she started a podcast, she started recording, she sent me the video of her first story to go and check out. And I gave her some feedback and some thoughts yesterday. And here she is today. It's so perfect that she's here and everything. And honestly, this episode is all about helping you see. I've always been a storyteller. I've always been comfortable in front of crowds, in front of people, and all that kind of stuff when it comes to speaking and talking and being the center of attention. When I was a kid, not so much, but as an adult. And for me, who loves it and looks forward to it and is not like scared by the proposition of having my face in front of people, I want you to see that even for me, I have made huge steps and leaps and growth in what I have done in my messaging, in the way that I present myself, my energy, and the way that things look, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so if you, first of all, let's go for a little engagement. Lance says the best way. I'm going to throw that up, Lance. The best way to jump or get in a cold pool is to jump in. Exactly. And if you apply the things that I've been teaching with beginning to end in mind and having an intention behind the jump, not just to absolutely get in the pool, but like, I'm going to jump right there, right? It's so much easier. So, this is, yes, perfect timing for this episode, Val. So, where was I going to? Oh, yeah, engagement. So, I want to know whether you've been publishing every day or practicing and doing stuff like Val has, like I see Lance doing, or you are like in that dipping your toe in the water, trying to psych yourself up. I want you to comment those of you who are on live and in the replay. I want you to, if you have been publishing, do hashtag publishing. If you haven't started yet, do hashtag not yet. That way I can see who's doing, who's not, and I can kind of direct some of the things a little bit more towards one or the other. I'm going to cover both, but like I just want to make sure that we cover stuff to help you guys, okay? So drop that in the comments. I'm going to grab a drink really quick. Okay, so my first ever Facebook Live was in February 2018. It was before I went to my first Funnel Hacking Live. It was before I had like figured out what my funnel, all that stuff. I did a Facebook Live on my Friendly Giant Films page. I haven't gone and looked at that one. It was, I can't remember what I talked about. I'll go and look at that one too. But I went on my personal profile just to test what it was like to go live, because I have a bigger audience on my personal profile than I did on my Friendly Giant Films page. And so I was thinking I could do lives for my business page, yes, but like I couldn't really talk about like just everyday stuff from my Friendly Giant Films page, right? I needed to be strategic and purposeful with the content that was going on there. So I wanted to test it on my personal profile to see if I got more views, that kind of stuff as well. So I'm seeing a couple comments pop in. Val's Publishing, Mike not yet, Lance Publishing, Colleen not consistently. Okay, that's awesome. So I went to my personal page to go just test it out, because I had done Facebook Lives through my phone, but I'd never sat down with my laptop and used it as my Facebook Live, camera and stuff. So I went live, and then I made up something to talk about on the fly in the test. So we're going to watch this together. Who wants to see my first ever Facebook Live? If you do, blow me up with hearts and thumbs up. And if I get enough, if it's good, then I'll show it to you guys. I'm going to show it anyway, but I just want the engagement. I want you guys involved, right? So this is... So basically, there's really no more context to give to you other than this. This live was to test using my laptop, which I use primarily for my lives now, and just to kind of see what's going on with it, right? Okay, so here we go. Here is my first ever Facebook Live on my profile. Here we go. I'm going live again on my personal page this time. So I'll let it run for a couple seconds. This is just a test, really. I don't have a message per se. But I just wanted to see what it's like through the laptop. I've done it on my phone once. I just wanted to see through my computer how it works. Mike Kelly! Shannon, how are you? Hey, I'm just giving this a test. Terry, Michael, what's up? Hello, everybody. So, I don't know. Here's a little story. I'll tell you a little story. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to fly on the space shuttle and all that stuff. And when I was in kindergarten, that's when the Challenger accident happened. Hey, thanks, Mike Bishop. What do I call you on social media? Oh no, it's scary. Just kidding. Thanks. Oh, there's Lisa. She just got home from work. Anyway, I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid, but then the Challenger explosion happened, and I didn't want to be an astronaut anymore. But I just finished watching. I didn't even know it was happening today. I know it was happening soon, but another friend posted it. Posted a link to it, but SpaceX did a test launch of the Falcon Huge rocket, and they're sending a Tesla Roadster to Mars, to orbit Mars. Pretty cool, but it was so cool. I've watched videos in the past of the Falcon 9 rockets launching and landing and stuff, which is just amazing. But it was so cool because it launched up, and then I don't know if anyone watched it, but it was so cool. I'll try and find a link to the replay to it so you can see it too. But holy cow, the amount of brain power that goes into that. It had 2 boosters in the main center booster rocket, and it took off, and then the 2 boosters detached. And instead of like the old times, they just like kind of crashed into the ocean or whatever, they did this
counter launch stuff, and they came down and landed upright on the ground back at Cape Canaveral. It's pretty crazy. And they landed like at the exact same time, right next to each other. It was so cool. But anyway, space is cool, and it's fun to kind of see it coming back into culture again. I love watching rockets take off, so hopefully there will be more. But anyway, this was a test of this. I'm going to be using it here and there more for Friendly Giant Films and for my own personal stuff too. But thanks for watching, the 4 of you that stayed on, and for everyone that turned on. Appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Okay. How hard was that to watch? For me, I look back on it and I'm like, oh man. Okay. So here's some engagement. I want your comments and your thoughts. What, first of all, was it super long? No, it was 3 minutes and 17 seconds long. I wrote it down, 3 minutes and 17 seconds long. So what in that 3 minutes and 17 seconds, what you saw in that video and how you know me now, what differences did you see in how I did that live? Comment and tell me what you saw that's different that I did from that first one to now. Val says I was still good at storytelling there. Yes, I've always been good at storytelling, right? For me, I kind of noticed that I stumbled over my words still a little bit. And that was because I was just kind of coming up with it as I went, as opposed to being intentional, right? I was doing the thing to test, and I was like, oh, I'll tell you this story because like earlier I had watched that launch, right? And so when I got into the story, I was decent, right? But as I've become more intentional with what I'm saying, it gets even better, right? Next, but you could be more excited and emotional. Your voice is monotone. Exactly. I didn't have much energy. Lance says you could tell you knew, but your excitement level was low. Exactly. Energy was a huge thing, right? And that was me just kind of like testing stuff out, seeing how it worked, because I'd never done it on the laptop and stuff like that. So my head wasn't fully there, right? But my energy was low. I was just kind of like, even when I told the story, like telling the story differently of how I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid. I was just watching the other day some more, I was just watching some things, and up on YouTube in the suggestions was like the Challenger accident. And so I watched that, and it just brought me back to that moment when I was in kindergarten. So when I was a kid, I totally wanted to be an astronaut. I really did. I wanted to fly in the space shuttles, my love for Star Wars. I wanted to travel the galaxy, all that kind of stuff. And I obsessed about it. I had an autographed photo of Jake Garn. He was a Utah senator who was an astronaut. He went up in space on space shuttles and stuff like that. And I had like an autographed picture of him. I thought it was so cool, right? And I remember when the Challenger was going to be launched, I was in kindergarten. And it was it was the first time they were going to take a civilian and send them into space. Like they had, I forgot her name, Christine something. She was going to be she was a school teacher. It was going to be the first one to go in space. And she was going to do some lessons from space, and it was so cool. And I had afternoon elementary or kindergarten, so I was home in the morning when the launch was going to happen. And so I remember I was watching the TV. I remember our old, was it a Magnavox or a Zenith? Big TV, wood, had the 2 clicker dials, the push in, pull out button, right? And I'm sitting in front of that watching on TV, and it takes off, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And then the explosion happened. And I was a kid. I didn't know what was going on. I could tell something wasn't right just by the reaction of people and like my mom and stuff. But I didn't know what had happened. And then as I got older, as time went on after it, I learned that it blew up and that everybody died and all that kind of stuff. And I remember I love to draw. And I would draw lots of pictures. I might even have them like in a box here somewhere. but like I would draw the explosion over and over, where I'd draw the little launch pad thing, and then I'd draw like the little line of smoke, and then I'd draw like with all the different lines. I just remember seeing those streams of smoke falling down and crashing into the ocean, and it was super traumatic for me. It just like changed. I was afraid after that. I was like, I don't want to go to space because I don't want to blow up, right? So you hear me tell that story now versus then. Energy is a big thing, right? It's just crazy. So I'm sorry, I got into it. I just wanted to kind of show you again how time and practice took that story, which wasn't terrible, right? But now the delivery of it is a lot more effective and more engaging, right? So Mike says, much less nervous, much better goal of what you want to say now, better game plan. And then Colleen says, you told a story to fill the time while you tested as opposed to trying to make a point, create an epiphany for the viewer. Exactly. And I was born in 1980. It was 1986 when the Challenger explosion happened. And so I was born in 1980. So what else? Okay, so we saw that my energy was low, right? And my storytelling was all right, but I didn't have a purpose to it other than just to test the platform either, right? And that's going to happen on your first one if you're ever trying to test something, right? But so there's the three things. And did anybody else notice anything different about that versus how I do my lives now, aside from the cool intro? That's just something awesome that I do, right? While you think about it, I'm going to grab another drink. Okay, so there were two other things that I noticed that are different about my first Facebook Live and my first few versus what I do now. And they are the angle. Do you guys notice the angle that I was in? Let me see if I can pull it up here. Isn't that such a handsome face? The angle that I used is pretty crazy. I was in the kitchen, yes, and I was closer to the camera, but I had it sitting down on the table. Like right now, I have my camera or my laptop sitting on top of a box to elevate the camera position. So I had it looked. This looks better and more inviting and a little less intimidating and awkward than having it down, being over and looking down at it where the camera's looking up. I did a Facebook Live a couple of weeks ago on my phone to show you how to use it with your phone. But like I talked about camera angles and stuff and how they psychologically have an impact on the viewer. So that was one. It was down and low. It was just sitting on the kitchen table. And I was looking down at it, like it was normal, but just I'm super tall, it's little, so it made this like almost like looming over type of look, right? We'll look at it one more time. Okay, so you see there was that. Let's see, and yes, the angle in that. So yeah, and then the setting, right? It was just in the kitchen behind me, that kind of stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? I went from the kitchen, and then it progressed to our room where my little office was. I used my wife's little sewing table as a makeshift desk, and I did some lighting behind me and stuff. That's how I used to do it. And then when we moved here, I set up in here. But even since I've been here, I've changed the way I've done it. Do you see how I'm framed right now? How I'm not in the middle, right? I'm a little off center, right? I'm showing more of my body. I could move it in and be like this, that wouldn't be a big deal. Sometimes I do ones where I'm standing. Sometimes I do ones where I'm sitting right now. But just those little things over time that I learned what worked, what made people feel more comfortable, which was more interesting. Some people don't have a busy background. Now, if you're in an airport and there's tons of people walking back and forth behind you, that's one thing. But some people might say that this is a busy background and be like, but guess what it does? It is done on purpose, you guys. I do this with an intention. And as you get more practice and stuff, you will start to think about these things yourself, right? But I have Darth Vader over my shoulder. I've got Stormy the Stormtrooper right there. I've got all of my Star Wars figures and toys. I've got this, I've got that poster, which is from a project that I did at my boys' school. I've got a lightsaber. I've got all my books and libraries and little hidden Easter eggs and everything back there, so that it's more engaging to the viewer. If I just had a plain backdrop, there's nothing wrong with that, but your content better be engaging, right? Because you are the only thing that's engaging them. Whereas this other stuff is just things to maybe if I waffle on a little bit and I lose you a little bit, your eyes might start to wander and drift and see what's in the background, but you're still here and you come back. You hear something and it brings you back in, right? As if it was just like a plain white background or something like that, or something just plain and non-engaging, then if I start to lose you with the content, you're more apt to just drop off as opposed to linger and stuff like that. So you see, there's intention there. So there's some differences. And yes, like Val says, it brands you. Colleen says it shows my interest. Like, people couldn't watch any of these and not have a clue that I'm a Star Wars fan, right? They'd be like, oh man, that dude likes Star Wars. So if somebody was to Dream 100 me, they know if they wanted to start and get my attention somehow, they send me a little Star Wars trinket or toy or something, right? There are those things. You can see that little red stapler there. That is a red swing line stapler, which is a throwback and an homage to the movie Office Space, which I love. And it's, again, for me, how I hated that culture, and I'm never going back to it. That's just a nice little thing, right? Some people just wouldn't notice, right? But all of those things were done intentionally. But I didn't start that way, okay? Right now, it's more polished. Like my lives have this little bug right here with my logo. I have the cool intro video that has the swirly logo and the music and all this type of stuff. I use a program now called Ecamm Live for Mac to do my Facebook Lives through, instead of just going live through the Facebook app on my phone or on the website, on my, that kind of thing. And the background and the setting and the way I've got, like, the lighting is okay. I didn't like having my lights set up all the time in my office. So I've just been going with natural light. Like right now I have 1, 2, 3 windows here. I have a window back there, right? But, it's just one of those things. And then the last thing that is different is the quality of the audio. The audio that I was using in that first Facebook Live was just from the microphone inside my MacBook Pro. Now, as you can see right here, I've got my Blue Yeti microphone, USB microphone, and I just have it sitting here on a boom arm, and that's how I get better audio. And so all of these baby steps are things that I learned and got over time because I just wanted to improve the experience for my viewers. And as I got more comfortable in my message and all that stuff, if I'm like the video storyteller dude, then I have to have a good setup. People talk to me about, what camera do you use for your lives? They always look so great. And it's like, I use the one that's built into my MacBook Pro right now, right? And I just make sure that I'm lit well and I'm in the right type of setting, right? So you don't have to go crazy and buy yourself ring lights and webcams and all this stuff if you don't want to, or you don't have the budget for it. You can make things work with what you have. And I'll go through I'll add this to the list as just like more tips for, I did like a mobile Facebook Live using your phone, how to do it well, but I'll show you the setup or that kind of thing for how to do it with your laptop, how to find ways to do this on your own and stuff, okay? So, so far, is this making sense? Are you seeing how I got better with over a year's time and like 300 something Facebook Lives and interviews and podcast interviews and being guests on other people's shows over the course of a year and was it March, April, May, a year and 3 months, right? You can see how much I have improved, right? So with that said, what holds you up when it comes to yours? And I'll tell you the things that I overcame for mine. I knew I needed to go live. I knew I needed to publish. I did that one, Facebook Live, and then I didn't do another one for a little while. I think it wasn't until Funnel Hacking Live that I did a couple of cell phone Facebook Lives where I grabbed my phone out when I was in the Minneapolis airport one time on my layover, and I did that. And I did 2 quick Facebook Lives during Funnel Hacking Live just at the event to talk about how cool it was, right? And then it wasn't until I got home that I did my first like intentional story. And I'll have to share that. It's longer. It's like 17 minutes. Maybe I'll drop the link to that one in the comments so you can see it. But I knew I needed to become consistent at it. And I knew that by practicing and being consistent that I was going to get better. Some people aren't as lucky or gifted as I am when it comes to public speaking. They have some extra hurdles and things that they have to go through. And if that is you, if you're struggling, if you're uncomfortable, if the thought of pushing live is like so anxiety causing and just makes you like, you'd rather do anything else, I feel you. I understand that it's not easy to do those things. However, I'm here to tell you that even by going super short, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, my first Facebook Live was 3 minutes and 17 seconds long. By doing that, and you go over and over, short, a little bit longer, you find a topic you really nerd out on, and you go all in, right? It does get better. Now, some of you know who Russell Brunson is. He's a good friend of mine from elementary school, junior high, high school, and we have reconnected in the last couple of years, and all those things. And it was funny to see at this last Funnel Hacking Live, which is his big annual event. 4,500 people came to it last year. Last year, I got to speak on stage and be a roundtable host at this last one. But he shared a little clip of his first ever presentation and when he was selling online. And he was so awkward. And those of you who know him now, you see him on stage and he's a master at it, right? He has put in 15 years of trial and error to get to where he's at right now. So when you start and you're not like a Russell Brunson or Tony Robbins or Gary Vee or whoever it is that you look up to, just know that they weren't like that the first time they did it either. They were themselves, but they weren't that good. They were actually bad, you know. You look at old Gary Vee videos and when he still had his hair long. It's so funny to see old videos of Gary Vee versus what he is now, right? And he still had confidence. He still had swagger, but it was different because he didn't have experience. Now with you, you're going to start and you're going to feel awkward and you might want to delete it after you do it because you feel so embarrassed. That's your prerogative. I like to keep it as a badge of honor so I can look back on it a year later and be like, wow, I felt comfortable doing that live. Look how awkward and how not engaging that was, or how low energy it was compared to what I'm doing now, right? It's a great way to measure your growth. And I promise you, as you commit, and I'll try and find some way to motivate you guys. If you commit to publishing every day, 6 days a week, 5 days a week, something like that, consistently. You don't have to do it every day. I don't do it. I try and take Sundays off to be with family and all that kind of stuff, right? But I still do Instagram stories here and there on Sundays too. But just become consistent. If you will do that, I'll find a way to I don't know if it's like a little monthly subscription where I just give you a daily, okay, you guys got this, or some little motivational thing or something, right? But I would happily do that. If it'll help you guys take action and do the things that you know you should, Okay, because you've been told if you're a business owner, you need to publish, share your story, get your message, market. However you've heard it, you know that you need to be doing it. And some of you are doing great, some of you are doing okay, and some of you are not. Right? I want everyone to just level up. I don't know if you guys have noticed in the last 5 weeks that I've been doing this, I have leveled up in the way that I teach and the way that I speak. I don't know if you've noticed. I have noticed it as I've watched back on these. It's crazy. In 5 weeks, I've had growth and I've got better. And I'm way farther ahead now than I was even like 3 months ago before Funnel Hacking Live, when I was gearing up to have a tribe of over 100 people come with me to Funnel Hacking Live, to have be a roundtable host, to be able to speak on stage. I am farther ahead now because I have consistently, daily, intentionally been sharing messages, okay? And I know that you guys can have the same. I saw a couple comments pop up. Who wants a piece of that? Colleen, I have the problem with finding the time in the day to do them. And the daily storytelling tip. So Val, I'll go back to your question. What is your process for getting ready for a live? I have been, I played high school, Division I college, and semi-professional basketball. So I know how to get game ready. And so I do the same things. Back when I was preparing for a game, I'd visualize. I'd sit and I'd have music going. I would usually listen to the same music. In high school, it was the Oasis album, What's the Story, Morning Glory. I would listen to that album over and over and over and over and over when I was prepping for a game. Like while I was riding on the bus, on the road trip. While we were sitting in the bleachers watching the JV game. I was listening to that same music. So for me, music and visualization is how I get into state for going live and stuff. So whatever that is, I know Val, you're in law enforcement, you have that background. And you were talking about this, you and I were talking about this yesterday, how you're more straightforward and matter of fact with your delivery, or, because you have to keep that level head in your profession, right? And so, with you, I don't know if you have a pre-shift ritual, something that gets you like ready to go out and protect and serve, right? Maybe there's some portions of that preparation that you have when you're badging up and suiting up that you can use with going live. One thing also that is great to do is to think and visualize your audience. Like honestly, I sit here and I'm like so excited. I'm like, oh, I wonder if Val, or I wonder if Lance, if he's what he's gonna think of this one. Oh, I hope Janine finds this helpful. Oh, I hope Colleen gets some good things out of this, right? I sit and think about my audience, and whether you have one or not, like I have my core of people who come every day and listen and watch, whether it's live or on the replay. But I visualize and think, what can I do? How can I help them? What will be most effective to help them? Just know that there's somebody sitting in their living room, in their car, somewhere looking at their phone or on their computer that's going to be listening to what you do. And so that helps me to be able to look, at this green dot on my MacBook and see that not just as a green dot and being awkward, like, oh, the camera's on me, but that is my portal to looking you directly in the eye and to connecting with you like this. And if you don't feel that right now, like I guarantee, like at least one of you, like I'm looking you in the eye and you feel the connection. You feel the I am directing this towards you. Okay? By doing that, that was something that was uncomfortable. I used to have it on my screen. Like I have 2 screens now where I can see my live feed. Right there, I have my phone right here where I see the actual Facebook one. I used to look at myself because it was just weird to look at the camera. That's just something over time and repetition. I'm able to look at the green dot without a problem. Okay, so that's how I get into kind of my process for going live. Lance, your thing, like having a problem finding time in your day to do it. I totally get that. Like I've been trying to do these consistently around the same time. I was doing about 3:45 Mountain Time every day. I would just schedule it. Just lately I've had some conflicts with other things like appointments and calls with people that made it so I've had to go a little bit later or before that. But if you for 1 week, look at your schedule, and if you see there's an area that you have some time, and it might be in the morning before you really get rolling, I don't know. Or if you know you're always driving to a job site or to something at a certain time, just block out 5-10 minutes every day in that same area. It will become a habit. You could even block it out on your schedule where you said, okay, this is the time when I need to be doing this, right? You're going through business coaching. A lot of us have a business coach or have mentors and things like that. If they're not telling you to block out time for personal development, for marketing, things like that, as opposed to just doing the actual work that you do, you need to get a new coach. But block out specific time that is dedicated to self-development, learning, study, and you can put on the front or back end of that, a Facebook Live or something. That way your mind's fresh and full of ideas, and you could just talk about those for a minute, right? Or if you have a cool job that's coming up, a great project, another install or something like that, where you want to give that awesome behind the scenes look like you did with that one home that had there was high groundwater and you guys were pumping everything out and clearing things out, schedule something to coincide with that, right? But once you do and make it a habit, you do it for a week or two consistently, then it just becomes automatic. And if you have somebody that handles your schedule for you, you can say, hey, can you block out 15 minutes here, 10 minutes here, or, whatever it is that you want to do. And then it's on your schedule. You don't forget. It's blocked out ahead of time so people can't schedule on top of it. If things get crazy and you need to bump it, then that's totally fine. You can schedule something on top of it and do it at a later time, right? So find a time that's consistent, okay? Let's see. I do Val says she does self-hypnosis, but think something energetic would be better. Jumping jacks, running in place, getting pumped up. We'll try to get some inspiring music. Great advice. Oh, thanks. That's why I do this. I want you guys to know that it's intimidating, and it's not easy. For me, it's easy because I've done it so many times. And even still, there are days when I'm like, oh, I should have my topic already worked out right now so that I can just go and do my stuff and hop on the live later. But there are days when I struggle with this, right? But I've done it so consistently and frequently and with intent and purpose, and I've seen the results in you guys. That drives me, okay? And then Michael says what to say daily would be hard for you. And that's the thing. If you try and pair it with study time, you might get ideas of something to share about, right? But think of you and what your expertise is, how you can do it. Like my friend Erin Stewart, not Aaron, but Erin Stewart. Today, she went live. She helps people save tons of money on their mortgages by switching from the traditional mortgage compounding interest type of model to simple interest. And she coaches people on how to do that. If you don't know her, go and check her out. ErinStewart. But she today, right? She did a live and she picked 3 types of people who are messing with your time, money, and that kind of stuff, right? So think of what you're building your business around. And if you do this from your personal profile or if you've set up a page, it doesn't matter. Just go and talk for a few minutes about something that you're just an expert in, just for a couple minutes, just to say, hey, I thought that this would be insightful, right? And I guarantee you, when you start talking about yourself and what you do and what you love, you can fill a calendar up pretty quickly. You might repeat some things. You might tell the same stories more than once. You won't tell the exact same thing every day, of course, but you might see an opportunity to reiterate and things like that. And don't worry about being repetitive because your audience is going to get tired of your story in a way slower pace than you're going to get tired of telling it. So don't worry about being repetitious with it. It's good. And you get better at delivering those stories. Value so gave me a great story to tell for tomorrow. I'm throwing that on the screen. That's awesome. I look forward to it. When you tell it, you tag me in it. I want to be able to see it and watch it. And then Lance, yes, Stewart, Erin Stewart. Great Scottish name. So, with all of this, to wrap it up, you guys, I want you guys to know I feel your pain. I have been there. I felt awkward. I felt uncomfortable. I felt boring. All that kind of stuff. It's part of the game and part of learning and growing. You're going to miss some. You're going to have ones that do. I did one last week and it has less than 100 views still. Totally bombed it. It was about dating your clients. Right? Totally bombed it. Didn't work. Guess what? I went the next day, did another one, right back up to the 200 or so views. Right? You're going to have ones that miss. Michael Jordan still missed shots even though he's the greatest basketball player of all time. Tom Brady still throws incompletions even though he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Right? You're going to miss. You're going to stumble. You're going to have off days. But the next day doesn't have to be. And the next day won't if you just take action. The next day will if you go into it going, oh, I totally sucked yesterday. And that's your frame of mind going into it. Or you're like, oh, I quit. I only got like 20 views on that video. I'm not watching. I'm not doing it anymore. It's a waste of my time. It's not a waste of your time. It is worth the investment of time to get that growth. Now, like, I'm happy to help you compress that time with really dialing in stories, right? And coming up with a core of stories even, where we sit down for an hour and a half and we map out a bunch of stories. And I help you tell them and all that kind of stuff, right? Then you have them in your back pocket you can pull out anytime, right? I can help you condense that time, but that involves you wanting to invest the time to do that, implementing the stuff that I'm teaching you, and then obviously the financial investment as well as the last little tiny piece of it. Like spending $2,000 to be able to compress your time, get your message dialed in, and be able to share those all over the place in Facebook Lives, podcasts, copy in your posts, wherever you want to. It's a no-brainer, right? But I don't want to do that with people until they're at that frame of mind that they're ready to actually spend the time to be intentional about it. Take my advice. If I tell you that you need to tell it here, you go and you do it, right? And then being one in the position to actually go for it, right? But until you're at that point, go live. Go on Instagram stories. Just do something. Publish every day. Just once a day. It could just be a regular Facebook post if that's where you're comfortable. Just get in the habit of putting something out there every day in whatever platform, or in multiple, or do multiple posts in one day across all the platforms. I don't care. Just do something every day. And as you're intentional and you apply these things that I've been teaching over the last 5 weeks, game over. You're going to have increased sales, more clients, more appointments, more calls, and more money in your bank account. Okay? So, with that said, Lance says, how do you go back and look at the replays? So, I go back, like right after, typically, I upload these right to YouTube afterwards. So I kind of watch through it that way. But if you do it on your page, there's a videos page, and you can go and it has all the videos you've done. You can just go and rewatch them. And if you're meeting on my page, just go to this page. Over on the side, on the left-hand side menu, there's videos, and that has all of them in there, and you can watch them, right? It's the same with your own page. On your profile, under the More tab, you can look at videos, and it'll show all of your videos that you've done on your personal page as well. So that's where you can go and watch replays of things. So repurposing is one of Val's specialties. Awesome. And that's like the thing that's great is like I could have this transcribed and then in a couple weeks create a blog post that's just the transcription cleaned up, to fit the written word. I could rip the audio, and these are podcast episodes, right? I have hundreds of podcast episodes. I just have to download this and rip the audio and upload it to my Anchor account, and it's live everywhere, right? So there are ways to use this stuff in lots of different areas after you've done it as well. So with that said, go live, publish, whatever it is, however you do it, tag me in the comments. Like add a comment and put my name in. I want to see it. Because I want to support and cheer you on, give you that pat on the back. I'll look at something. If you guys were like, I was talking about like a daily, if there was a daily thing, if it was like a monthly subscription kind of thing where I sent you a Voxer every day, let me know if that would be of interest to you and what that would be worth, investment wise for me to do that. Because I would totally love to if we could get a good pool of people. Right? Or maybe that's a bonus that I can chuck on to if you wanted to go through this one funnel away challenge with me, that kind of thing. So anyway, with that said, you just need one story to change your life, your business, your world. It happened for me when I told my story. It changed everything. And I was intentional with it, built it around my business, personal experience into my business, made me lots of money. The same is what is true for all of you guys, okay? So with that said, remember, it just takes one story, and we'll see you on the next one.